Vladimir Putin is often regarded as one of the most powerful people in the world. But how did he come this far?
Так было тогда.
Putin has been in power for over 20 years and has made a name for himself in international politics. He first became the Prime Minister of Russia in 1999, and just a year later in 2000 became the president of the country. His first two presidential terms came from 2000 to 2008, after which he once again held Prime Minister's office. In 2012, he suspiciously won the presidential elections again and has been in power since then.
Чистую победу. Мы будем работать честно и напряженно.
In order to understand how Putin emerged as such a dominant political figure in Russia, we need to go back to the 1970s when he was in the Soviet security group KGB. Putin joined the KGB group first in 1975 and was transferred to the first chief directorate in the early 1980s. Although this might be surprising for many of you, Putin worked as a spy in Germany from 1985 to 1990 under a made-up identity. While he was in Germany, the Soviet Union started to fall apart, and in 1991 it was split into 15 countries, including today's Russia. It was a hard time for the newly formed Russia, whose economy was drastically declining. The government had to sell off around 45,000 public companies in order to improve the economy. These companies were acquired by a few wealthy men known today as the Russian oligarchs. Putin cited the fall of the Soviets as a major geopolitical disaster and left KGB in 1991. He came back to Russia from Germany and became the deputy mayor of St. Petersburg. Using his position, Putin favored his friends and allies in the private sector to create monopolies and used city funds as financial aid for them. By doing so, he quickly gained the support of the oligarchs and formed a support network with influential oligarch members. Even though he was investigated by the city legislative council on the allegations of money laundering and unauthorized use of city funds, he held a seat as the deputy mayor. Through the support of the oligarchs, Putin quickly climbed up to higher ranks of the new Russian state. In 1999, Putin was appointed as the prime minister of the country by then-President Boris Yeltsin. Though he was still an unknown face in Russian politics, Putin had a clear vision of building a strong Russian state that would mitigate the Western influence on global politics.
But in all this time, Russia has not hosted the World Expo. Not once.
It was a time when more and more countries were joining NATO. Anti-Soviet alliance, Putin feared that it would expand into the newly liberated countries and eventually surround Russia. Putin's story took a rise when in August 1999, a series of deadly bombings killed over 300 people throughout Russia.
There appeared to be no chance whatever that Putin, who was designated by Yeltsin as his successor, could possibly become the next Russian president. The apartment bombings changed everything.
This incident was a result of post-Soviet chaos in the neighboring region, Chechnya, where an anti-Russian separatist group was formed. Putin immediately blamed the Chechen separatists for the attack and regularly appeared on national TV to ensure that he'll avenge Russia. He influenced the president to start an anti-terrorist campaign in Chechnya, during which Russian troops killed around 80,000 people, including both rebels and civilians. His relentless approach towards the Chechen terrorist group resulted in Putin becoming a publicly well-liked political figure in the country. In December 1999, an unexpected resignation came from President Yeltsin, resulting in Putin becoming the interim president.
Сегодня я последний раз обращаюсь к вам как президент России.
In May 2000, the bloodbath in Chechnya was still going on. He won the presidential elections by a fair margin and held the office as a full-time president. Being a pro-nationalist, Putin then started to shape Russia according to his vision. He served 2 consecutive presidential terms till 2008, but couldn't serve a 3rd consecutive term as it was against the Russian constitution. He regained the premiership in 2008 and made a handpicked president, Dmitry Medvedev. While the Russian constitution doesn't allow 3 consecutive presidential terms, it sets no limit on the total number of terms one can serve. And so, Putin once again appeared as a candidate in the presidential elections of 2012 and won after amassing a massive 63% of the total votes.
Что нам действительно никто ничего не может навязать. Никто и ничего.
Putin established an authoritarian kind of government and repressed anyone who disagreed with him. Since day one as the president, he had prioritized taking the media under control and turned all news outlets into state-owned propaganda channels. Since his third presidential term started, Putin has taken several steps that have been globally criticized, most notably promoting the civil war in Syria and establishing a cyber army that hacked the entire Pentagon network. Although Putin's aggressive foreign policies have made him Russia's favorite leader, they've also brought massive Western sanctions on Russia and have made a negative impact on the country's economy. His recent invasion of Ukraine also sparked global controversy, adversely impacting Russia's trade relations with the West.
И нашего народа. Мы, безусловно, используем все имеющиеся в нашем распоряжении средства. Это не блеф.
Let's see how long Russia can continue under these circumstances. And that was it from the rise of Vladimir Putin. We'll be back with another exciting episode, but until then, goodbye.